Hi, welcome to this video. Today we're going to be installing the AWS SDK for SAP ABAP into my ABAP Cloud Developer Trial Docker system. This is all part of a series I'm doing on how to use the AWS SDK for SAP ABAP in RAP apps for OCR and document storage with Textract and S3. There'll be a link in the video description to this series, as well as all the source material and commands that I use for this. Now, if you these instructions are relevant if you aren't using Docker, if you've got an on-premise installation, for example, but it isn't relevant for BTP ABAP environments. So let's go have a look at the AWS website and take a look at the instructions for installing the AWS SDK. So it says you can click this link to download the zip, or you can run this command, and it suggests that we install it in a temp directory. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to use Docker Terminal for this. You could use Command Prompt or a normal terminal window on your PC. But let's simply just go cd for change directory and go temp. And let's paste that command in. This will download the latest transports from AWS. Now the file's about 1 gigabyte, so let's leave that on the background and have a look at the materials. Now there is an optional verify of the SDK once you've downloaded it. We'll skip that step today, and we'll take a look at the transports. So the transports we're downloading there are many different directories in the zip file, and each directly corresponds to a module. And you must install the transports in the core folder, and then you can pick and choose based on your need on what modules you can install after that. Now, it's recommended you only install what you need, because if you do need to update it later, you need to update everything you have installed, not just what you use. And to get an idea of the module list, these are all the different modules, and these correspond to the folder names. Now, S3 is bundled in that core transport. So if you're only using S3, you only need to install the core transports. But for my series, I'm also using AWS Textract. So let's have a search for that. AWS Textract. So AWS Amazon Textract. So I need to also install the transports in the TEX directory. So let's go back. Okay. And then it's saying there's going to be 2 different types of transports, one starting with K and one starting with R. And we're going to need to place the transport starting with K in the co files and the one starting with R into the data files. And so we need to put the transports, once they're downloaded, into our SAP systems transport directory. Now, this is a pretty common setup user, SAP trans, but if you'd like to verify, you could open up SAP. I'd go to AE11. Scroll down, and you can see the transport directory is the same in this Docker system. Let's go check on the downloads. It's still downloaded. It's about 1 gigabyte. I'm going to pause this video and I'll come back once it's fully downloaded. Okay, so it's all finished. And so let's go take a look at the files that have been downloaded. I'm just going to go to my file explorer. And you can see here it's a zip files downloaded, almost 1 gigabyte. And let's extract that. So that's fine, and hit extract. Almost there. And then I'm going to open up a notepad. Because let's go have a look at these transports. And so you can see all the directories here for all those different modules. And so let's take a look at the core folder, and you can see the two transports are here. So what I'm going to do is open up a notepad, and I'm just going to copy the names of these into the notepad. So I want to go core, and then that. The same for this. Now, your transports could be completely different. The transports do get often updated quite often. So if they're different, it's fine. Just copy them in. And then we also want to go to, I want to go to TX because I also want to install Textract. So let's copy that. And this time we want to go Tex. And the same thing for the R1. Tex. The R. Excellent. And now let's just group the K's and the R's like that. Okay. Excellent. So the next step is that we need to copy these into our transport directory. Now, in Docker, we're going to use Docker commands. If you're not using Docker, you talk to your basis friends. They'll know how to put transports into the transport directory for you. But in the Docker system, let's just change directory to that transport directory. So let's just go cd abab, and then I think it was cd transports, and we're in that transport directory. Okay. And so what we're going to want to do, let's do it in Notepad first, is docker cp for copy. And the command is docker copy the source file, and then we need to put it give it a destination file. And we have to give a container name. So the container name for me is A4H. And then we go colon, and then we put it into the directory. And that goes, the K's go into co-files. This is just copying off this directory, off their notes here. So we can copy this, put that there, and the Docker copy, and we can do the same thing for these two as well. And then we're going to put that like that, but this is the R's going to the data directory, so let's go like that. Okay, so we've got our commands to copy, and it's always good to be able to validate that it's worked. So I'll show you how to do that in Docker. If you click your container and go to files, and this is the user directory, we want to go SAP, and then we want to go trans, and if we do go data and co-files, they're empty at the moment. So let's go ahead and take that first command, paste that in. Successfully copied, fantastic. And the second one. Great. and the next step here. Great. So you can see all the transports are there. Now you can import transports from terminal itself. I've chosen to use SAP because I had some problems with my Docker system and I haven't fixed those. So we're going to experience them as well, and I'll show you how to fix them. So let's go to SAP. Now the transaction to import transports is stms_import. And you're going to see this error here, and it's transport control program TP ended with 0208. I wonder if it will tell us anything. So it's saying an error occurred when executing the TP command. Okay, so it looked for this in this bin directory. Let's go have a look. Binary directory. So let's go have a look. So cofiles, bin, and yeah, it's missing. So let's go like that and close that. And what you can do is you can go environment, system overview, and then you can go extras and you press this distribute and activate configuration. Now you only need to do this if the error came up, and distribute configuration to all systems and hit the tick. Okay, let's go back to Docker. And you can see that program's there now. So fantastic, we can proceed. So let's just go back to stms_import. Okay, so the import queue is empty. So let's go extras, other requests, and add. Now let's import the core one first. So it ends in 3M3. So let's take a look at that. And this 3M3, you'll notice that the AWS is now prefixed. So let's go like that and hit the tick. Import queue, yes. Okay, our second error has occurred. Now, I think this is our final error, which is great. But let's go ahead and fix that now. So what it's saying is it couldn't access the files. Now the files are there. Let's go take a look. So it's a permissions issue. So we need to do two things. So we need to change the access permissions of the files and directories and also change the ownership of them. Now these are more Docker commands, and I'll show you what the commands are. Now, if you're not using Docker, you can just run these in a command prompt or a terminal window if you're logged into your SAP system directly. Because I'm running them in Docker, I'm proceeding it with this. So chmod is for changing the access permissions of files and directories, and chown is used to change the ownership of files and directories. So we just need to run these in Docker now. So paste that in and hit enter, and then we just methodically go through. Now, if you didn't get this error, no need to do this. But if you're in a Docker system, chances are you'll need to do this. Okay, that's all done. So let's go back to SAP. Go requests, other requests. Oh, sorry, extras, other requests, and add, and do that M3, and go yes. And you can see we've progressed further. It's in the queue. Now we need to do our other one, so we do the add, and this time it's this one. Now, once again, yours will be different. Just take note. Hit the green tick. Okay, So now let's go queue and start import. Now these are client independent. So if we go back here, it's just some useful information here. So AWS SDK transports are client independent, and it says when importing transports, you must select ignore invalid component version found in import transport request options, import options. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So it's under options, and it says ignore invalid component version, and that's ticked. Okay, and we're going to go asynchronous, and we're going to hit continue. And then yes. Okay, so it has started. You can hit this refresh and hit the status and put your mouse over here, and it says import running. It's going to take several minutes. I will come back once it's done. Okay, I'm back. So when you hit refresh, the two transports will disappear, or how many you have, and that means it's done. So we do need to go check on the status of those. And to do that, we can go import history, go to import history. We can see these two have imported. Now we have an RC4, which is a warning, and a 0, which is RC green. Now, if we go have a look at the material, it's on this installing. And we go down. We can see here that the transport is successful if STMS shows green RC0 or yellow 4. So they have been successful. And I haven't had a red before, but that's RC8 or 12. Okay. Now, the final step is let's just make sure that it kind of, let's just do another test. So under this configuring, let's go global settings, and it says use this transaction /n/AWS1/IMG to configure it. So let's just see if we can get to that. And we can see here that that's loaded. Okay, so that's it for this video. We have successfully installed the AWS SDK for SAP ABAP. Now, in the next video, I am going to configure the SDK, and that is both in SAP, but also setting up AWS with an S3 bucket and the users and everything like that. So the best way to find out when my next video is released for configuring the SDK is to like and subscribe my YouTube channel, SAP Developer Mert. And thank you for watching, and until next time.